This is GBN America. I'm Nana Akwe, and this week the King met with David Beckham, of all people. Now, the last time we really got a glimpse of Beckham was in that Netflix documentary that they did, which, unlike the Sussexes, theirs showed the closeness and love of family, which explains why it did better overall. And whilst Harry and Meghan got more actual views in the first week, the difference was how it was viewed. Now, the Montecito-Monas were compared to burlesque. At some point, they'd be naked and have nothing left to show. An article in Variety read, at some point, even the dimmest of minds among their fans is going to tire of their "oh, woe is us" routine as they play the victim card again and again. Now, that is the American press. Whereas the Beckham's documentary left you wanting more. Now, these couples were apparently quite close at one time. Harry and Meghan, however, can't seem to keep any friends at all. Anyway, I digress. David met privately with the King this week at Highgrove, Charles's Gloucestershire retreat, to learn more about its work, and they bonded over their mutual love of bees. David Beckham said, and I'll do his voice for you, "It was inspiring to hear from the King about the work of His Majesty's..." No, I'll give up now. His Majesty's Foundation during my recent visit to Highgrove Gardens and compare beekeeping tips. I love David. He's great, isn't he? Also this week, Prince Andrew is potentially turning into a squatter. He's refusing to leave the £30 million, 30-bedroom Royal Lodge. It seems he hasn't kept up with some of the upkeep on the lease, and the King wants him and Fergie, who also lives there with Prince Andrew, to go, and they've apparently been offered Frogmore Cottage. Perfectly fine. And finally, whilst Kate is not back in action, apparently she's considering appearing during the Trooping of the Colour. Well, we would love Kate to do that, but please, Kate, take it easy, but we can't wait to have you back. Well, as anyone and everyone knows, we are in an election period, and a lot of questions have risen regarding the royal family and their involvement. So joining me now is Lee Cohen, who will hopefully be able to shed some light on how involved the royal family can get during the current election. Right, so what do you think, Lee Cohen? There's been a bit of a blackout in terms of the royal family, because they're not doing a lot of the gigs that they were going to do during this period. So shed some light on all of this for us.
Well, that's right, Nana. And I have to say, as a citizen of a republic where state and head of government are the same person, it is amazing to contemplate that the top dog of the British hierarchy cannot vote. As you know, like so much else in British government, the rules governing the monarchy and family voting and the royal family voting are defined by convention rather than hard and fast rules. So by convention, technically the king and any family member who is not a member of the House of Lords can vote. While the sovereign has constitutionally approved duties involving elections, including dissolving parliament and appointing the prime minister, in the run-up to an election, the royal family generally exhibit great discretion so as to not interfere or bias any elections. And that is certainly the case here. With respect and decorum, the royal family have announced that regarding the upcoming July 4 election, they are postponing engagements which, their statement said, may appear to divert attention or distract from the election campaign. But Nana, as in so many other ways, Queen Elizabeth II provided a peerless example in all of this. Her Majesty was masterful in remaining above politics, and she ensured affection and admiration for her throughout her 70-year reign, even during the bitter divisions of the Brexit days, when, of course, one would imagine the sovereign would have supported her nation's sovereignty. Nevertheless, she never showed her hand, and by extension, never alienated those holding divergent views. And I think her younger family now are taking cue from this, and they're maintaining a respectful distance from the election.
It's interesting, if you look at where we are a year on, just because, I was looking at some of the timings and what's going on in the royal household, and a year to this day, kind of Prince William was kind of basking in the whole sort of coronation, but now of course both Catherine and the King have been diagnosed with cancer, and recently Prince William was giving out the FA Cup trophy. It's been sort of a very interesting year for him.
Well, I think interesting is an interesting choice of words.
Mm.
The Prince of Wales's resilience in the face of his family's health crises is profoundly commendable, Nana. Stepping up to support his family, King Charles and his wife, Catherine, amidst their battles with cancer, it really showcases William's strength of character and unwavering dedication to his future role, as well as to his beloved family. In the midst of personal turmoil, he continues to fulfill his duties with grace and fortitude. He's embracing a vision for a modern monarchy that prioritizes social leadership and tangible impacts. But in an era where the relevance of royalty is being questioned, he's charting a course that resonates with the needs and aspirations of the people he serves. If the Sussexes hadn't abandoned family, country, and duty, they would have been star players at this time. But they have shown that they can serve no one or nothing but themselves, and their behavior at a time when they really need manpower, if I'm allowed to say manpower or people power, has rendered them unfit at a moment when they could actually be useful to something.
I was going to say, yeah, you can say manpower. It was derived from the word mankind, which means humankind, not man as in male man. So you're fine with that. Now, Lee, you talked about the Sussexes. You are right, aren't you? They have literally rendered themselves useless because of their behaviour. They've made it clear they don't want any part of it, even though they're doing what some would see as faux royal tours. They're apparently going to Ghana soon. But we are hearing rumours that potentially Prince Harry might be releasing a second book. And if they do that, well, perhaps they'll be throwing themselves under the bus on that one.
Well, and I believe it was author Robert Hardman that circulated speculation about the potential content of a sequel to Harry's original memoir, Spare, and that was conceivable given the scant coverage in the first book of his wedding to Meghan Markle. And this raises significant concerns, and Nana, it would be extremely ill-advised for Prince Harry to pen a second memoir, most critically for the new stress it would induce for his family, who are already ailing with serious health crises. Additionally, a subsequent hateful book would further tank Harry's already languishing public esteem. Harry's initial memoir, Nana, Spare, already delved far too deeply into private family matters, making any further trust by his family impossible. And it's abundantly... Yes, I'm sorry, you go.
I was going to say, and it was a bit of a case of TMI, too much information. Let's not forget the 8-hour cream.
Well, exactly. And the cream, and beyond that, it shows that his motivations lie more in scoring points against the royals and lining his pockets than in truth-telling or any sincere reconciliation.
And also, to be honest, I don't think he's interested in the world of celebrity. He's had it literally all his life, without any effort. He probably finds it all a bit passé, a little bit boring, because it came to him when he was young, when he was born, pretty much, and he's probably been running away from it, yet Meghan is running towards it constantly. And I think that she probably realises that her attempt to sort of conquer Hollywood has been a disaster. Do you think she realises that?
Well, so Harry told Good Morning America, a morning TV show here, very popular in the United States, that he loves every single day in America and that he's even considered citizenship. Yet, he cannot seem to relinquish the spotlight and admiration of being a member of the royal family. Celebrity and royal service, Nana, couldn't be more divergent. But this point is lost on so many here in America, and it's completely lost on Meghan Markle. Celebrity, of course, is about opulence and being famous for its own sake and for financial gain, whereas what Meghan can't grasp is that royalty is about country, history, values, culture, humility, decorum, service, and duty. Harry was raised in this tradition and had the best of examples in his grandparents and now in his father. he could. How could he not pine for his former life that he exchanged for a vapid and meaningless existence, whipped on by his pathologically self-possessed wife? While Harry opted to lead.
I couldn't have put it
Truly.
better myself. I was waiting for the
Well,
word
I
vapid.
suspect you could.
Very good. Well, finally,
In fact, I've
Go
heard
on,
you
go
put
on.
it better.
And finally, in their vapid existence, where on earth are they going to send their kids for school?
Well, yes, this is just come over the wire. It's utterly infuriating, Nana, to hear that Harry and Meghan, the self-proclaimed champions of equality and social justice, are even contemplating enrolling their children in an exclusive, outrageously expensive schools. Their supposed commitment to progressive causes is nothing but a facade if they're willing to indulge in this epitome of elitism. They're advocating for equality, and yet they're willing to pay staggering tens of thousands per year for their children's education. How can they possibly justify this when so many families struggle to afford even the basic necessities? Sending their children to such prestigious institution completely exposes the frauds that Harry and Meghan are by perpetuating the very systems of privilege that they claim to expose, Nana.
Well, I think they call it Empire 2.0, but they don't mind the benefits, do they? Frankly, it's... yeah, I mean, they would say that they have money, so therefore that's why they're doing this and so on and so forth. But I think it's a bit a case of, well, no, that doesn't apply to us. We were just talking about you lot, what you need to do. Lee Cohen, thank you very much. Great. Go on then, what are you going to say? Final word to you, Lee. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, in response to what you just said, if they truly believed in their principles, then they should be leading by example instead of succumbing to the allure of exclusivity. They should be advocating for accessible, quality education for all children.
Well, you would think, wouldn't you? But I think they've got other things to do, like that vapid existence in Hollywood somewhere. Lee Cohen, thank you very much. Really good to talk to you.
Always a pleasure.
This is GBN America. Switching gears slightly, I've got Lady Victoria Harvey in the studio with me. Lady Victoria Harvey.
Hello.
Always a pleasure to talk to you as usual.
Yes.
So Victoria, where do you want to start with this? Because there's a lot being happening in Royal Towers.
Yes, there is.
Where should we go? Should we start with King Charles? He's made a very heartbreaking plea to his sons for his final years amid their sort of ongoing feud.
I mean, this is a feud that it's carried on now for many years, right? And it doesn't look like it's going to get any better. You'd think with his health conditions, they would have possibly tried to make a bit of an effort, but I just don't see that happening.
Well, you know, it's tricky, isn't it, when some of the things that Harry has said with regard to Catherine, which weren't particularly pleasant, and some of the things he said about Camilla, which weren't particularly pleasant. He called her dangerous. And yet, if anyone says anything bad about Meghan, he's the first to fight. So he needs to understand.
And then he has the whole, like, Sussex squad on Twitter just, you know, destroying everybody.
Well, he would say that he's not in charge of that, and that's their thing, you know.
Who knows? But, yeah, it's a very, like, sad state of affairs, really, because I don't know how that's going to improve. And, you know, even now with Charles, he's sort of made it quite clear that he doesn't really want to take that time to see Harry. Has he? Like, you know, when Harry was in England recently, you know, he was
is it down
busy.
to him to take time, or is it down to Harry, who is visiting to come and see him, especially when the King's got cancer?
Well, and the problem is,
fair.
Harry, when he visits, he comes for like an hour. Like, actually, no, he needs to spend some time here.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, he's bitter. Frogmore got taken away from him. I mean, that was a wedding gift from the Queen. So,
but he's not really respected it, has he? And he hadn't written spare by then, had he?
No, but if you think about it, still, the fact is that was a wedding gift from the Queen. Then the Queen dies, and suddenly Charles kind of takes everything into his own hands and has new rules. You know, just like we're seeing in the Duke of York situation with his house. That is his house. You know, he has a lease on that house. They can't just take it away.
But they can, and they will. What does he need 30 bedrooms for? What,
but what does Charles need another house? So he apparently
we don't know what he's going to do with
I
it.
do. So he apparently wants his house for Camilla. Now, how does Camilla need another house?
Hey, that's his woman. That's his woman.
I know, but how many houses do they have? They've got Windsor Castle. Why have a house that the Yorks have lived in for 20 years?
Well, why do they have to keep the house?
Plus, they have the Queen's corgis, and why displace the corgis? And obviously, you know, Prince Andrew, who was the favourite son. I just find it really quite disgusting.
But he's the king. So
he's the king,
and he's the boss, and if he doesn't want them in that house...
you would think someone like him, who has got a couple of years to live maximum, that he would actually be nice to his family members.
But that's not necessarily being nice. I mean, look,
he's not.
I hear that he's supposed to paint the outside of this house every 5 years. He's supposed to do all the upkeep.
I'm sure the painters
and has he been doing
are going to be...
though?
The painters will be going in.
But has Andrew been upkeeping? I don't think, when I was reading about it, sounds like he's let a few things go.
It will be. But how does Charles, you know, being sick, you would think if you're dying of cancer...
He might not be dying.
Might not be dying, might recover for a couple of years. But you would think if you're in that position, you become nice to everybody. You don't get, like, so bitter.
But why is that bitter? Taking away something that somebody has that they don't need. So just, like, this is a 30...
Why does Camilla need another house? Tell me.
Let me finish what I was going to say, and I'll come back to that. This is a 30-bedroom, 30 million property.
It's not 30 bedroom, 30 room maybe, but it's like
30
only...
30 rooms, OK, yeah. 30 rooms, 30 rooms, whatever. It's a mansion, frankly. He doesn't need 30 rooms. There's only 2 of them. Let me finish.
Yeah.
Also, it is the king is in charge, so the king can do what he likes.
Right.
And also, Andrew has been in this position where a lot of people will view him as somebody who has disgraced the monarchy, whether that's fair or not. So why shouldn't the king move him to Frogmore Cottage, which is very nice?
Yeah, but why should he have to go to Frogmore?
Why not?
But why does... So that the whole thing is that it costs $400,000 a year to maintain with security. Well, it doesn't matter who's living there. It'll still... That bill will still have to be paid, so it doesn't really make a difference.
He also gives Andrew, isn't it, $3 million as well a year and things.
I don't know.
So Andrew gets... Listen, Andrew's sitting on a nice little deal here. He's got a house, he's got money...
But let's remember, he was falsely accused. Like, all those, you know, those allegations are not real. And so he's never admitted to anything. He was tried by the media and social media. And, like, why should he have to give it up?
Well, he wasn't found guilty of anything, but the perception of his association with Jeffrey Epstein, when people knew what Jeffrey Epstein was about, a lot of people had already worked out that he wasn't a great guy by all accounts. But this is the point. So you asked the question. You asked the question, so I'm replying. Yeah. And it wasn't in hindsight that we knew what kind of a person Jeffrey Epstein was turning out to be.
Did you know 10 years ago what he was, 15 years ago, 20 years ago?
No, but he was already being... There were already allegations towards him when Andrew was actually... friends with him and actually appeared with him when people...
Once in a park that was set up by Jeffrey.
But that is... Unfortunately... Yeah. Unfortunately, and as I said, Andrew hasn't admitted to anything. No one's blaming him for anything because we simply don't know. Unfortunately, the perception, that is not good for royal perception. So therefore, he has been sidelined. Yeah. So therefore, there is no need for him to be in such a plush location when he's not even a working royal, is he?
Well, he should... you know, everything that was taken away from him, that was supposed to be temporary. That was temporary while he fought Virginia in court as a private citizen.
How do you know it was temporary?
I know this.
How?
This is well known. Like, I mean, I'll have to, like, bring you the notes, but this is well known. It was supposed to be temporary while he fought as a private citizen. Well, he actually never fought her, did he? Because it never went to court. So everything was supposed to come back to him. Unfortunately, the Queen was very weak, and her little minions around her seemed to have the final say.
Well, you know, maybe she made the right decision on this, but all he's been asked to do, let's get this straight, and to...
But I was connecting that to Harry losing Frogmore,
all he's been asked to do, this is, let's compare ourselves to real people in the real world, is simply move from one mansion to another very plush area, which he'll still get money and all the things he has, but he doesn't, you know, like...
But it's the
a lot
principle,
of people,
right?
Yeah,
It's
but a
the
lot of people were looking
principle.
on that thinking, what a spoiled brat.
It's the principle of King Charles. Like, if like, my older brother was doing that to me, and I was in a situation where I'd been falsely accused, and my half-brother...
But we don't know whether,
brother,
you know, he hasn't been found guilty of anything, but we can't call the accusation false.
They are false, and you'll know about it soon.
Well, when we hear about it, then we'll call it that, but...
Okay.
In the meantime, we don't
All
know,
right.
do we?
Okay, on to the next thing. Right, Meghan next.
So what do you got? What about Fergie, though?
Curtsying.
She's chosen not to judge Meghan and Harry, hasn't she?
She's talked to... Well, I thought we were going to talk about, so the curtsying. So Meghan
we can get to
apparently...
that, but
she was taught to curtsy by the Duchess of York. I'm sure she wasn't told to curtsy in the way she actually did it. I think she added her own little spin to that, obviously, when they filmed the documentary. Look, Meghan's very calculating. She jumped from boyfriend to boyfriend. She was living with her ex-boyfriend when she went on the first date with Harry. Yeah. You know, that is all, like, well known.
Well, you know, when I went on blind date... I did. I tell people, tell you the truth, I had a boyfriend. I did, yeah. So sue me.
But I just feel like if she's done that to him, she'll do that to Harry. And then she will, like, move on from Harry at some point. Like, imagine he loses his visa, right? If this thing actually does blow up and Biden administration can't protect him and actually... his visa gets revoked. Where are they going to move to? Nigeria?
Well, she's 43% Nigerian. She'll be welcome there, as long as she covers her shoulders, because the first... So
I'm sure they're, like, maybe weighing up their options of, like, what country they can actually go to at this point.
Well, that's why they're now touting around Ghana, which is where my family are from. I'm waiting to hear what percentage of Ghanaians she turns out to be, because that would be most interesting.
It's a little bit like Kamala Harris, how she would kind of switch, you know, where she's from, just to suit... the audience.
And now, finally, Meghan Markle, her makeup artist and very close friend, apparently, he's revealed that he hasn't done a work with her for years, and now she does her own styling.
I don't know if I believe that completely. I mean, I'm sure she's got hair and makeup every so often. I'm sure she's not doing her own makeup. She's too vain for that.
Do you think? Well, why would you if somebody else would do it for you?
I mean, she's probably just, you know, she's well known to, like, discard people in her life as her life progresses. Like, look at the wedding. There were people that she'd met once at her wedding and, like, her old friends were not invited.
Or even her cousin. Was it her cousin who she claimed couldn't come because...
Well, I don't think just her cousin. I think her whole, you know, family members, but friends. Like, she invites people like Oprah Winfrey. You know, like, this is the kind of person that she is.
She invited the Beckhams as well, apparently, didn't she? And I don't think they're talking either after stuff that's gone on there too.
Right, she did something to Victoria, probably.
It's all a disaster for her. Listen, Lady Victoria Harvey, thank you very much. It's such a pleasure. That is Lady Victoria Harvey here on GBN America. Thank you for joining us. For more information, head to gbnews.com/America. I'm Nana Acquia.